Now it's in 4K.
Okay. I was like, what?
All right.
Yes, in 4K.
Yes. Enthusiasm.
Alrighty, guys. Welcome back to
Hello.
Friday episode of WTF.
WTF.
AKA
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
We're so in sync right now.
So today, Fridays, we've been doing some book tea. So we're going to randomly pull a book
Slip of paper
from this teapot. And then introductions. So
we are
the Chevalier Sisters, and I'm Aubin and Ella, the author of The Second Nature of Indigo, currently out everywhere. It's a historical fiction, coming of age, inverted murder mystery.
I am Ella here. Mm-hmm. I'm working on a fantasy duology that we have been editing currently.
Yeah.
The first book will hopefully come out soon.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So in here are books that we have, in fact, both read and both enjoyed.
Yes.
Some of them are actually book series. I'm remembering.
Yeah. And I always have my phone ready just in case. Well, for a timer, just so we can know how long this episode is. Sometimes we lose track of time.
Get a little.
And also because we might need to refresh our memories on some of the books.
Yeah. I pulled out last time, so I feel like.
Yeah, last time we picked my book.
Yeah,
randomly. I put it in as a joke, and it was the first one to be picked.
You can enjoy that video.
Yeah. It's in our book tea playlist. So.
Alrighty.
I just can't let go of this one. Okay. Alright.
So, yeah, we wrote them on old cut-up card catalogs. Very cool. But, yes, let me... It's probably quite loud. It is beginning after the end. Okay.
Weird. Okay, alright. Beginning after the end.
So, disclaimer, we've only read the first
book. And there are like, 10 books?
So many. Our brother has read them all, and he loves them.
We could call
We could. No.
Okay. So Beginning After the End is based off of a...
No. It is the light novel. It has
what
comic thing based off of it, and it's getting an anime now.
Yeah.
So
it's in the anime webcomic world.
It is a Japanese author.
I think so too, yeah.
So
the style of the webcomic though is fairly
Korean, I feel like.
I was thinking American.
No.
I've only seen really tiny clips. And anyway, yeah.
Yeah, so just brief thing of Beginning After the End. So our main character was a king, died, and is now reborn in a different world. This is isekai.
But it keeps his memory.
Yeah. Unlike, normal standard rebirth, he keeps all of his memories of being a king. So
yeah.
He's
basically
really
an adult in a child's body.
Yeah, the first really long part is him just being...
There's a training arc for, the first 7 years of his life.
Yeah.
And he just trains super duper
Something
hard.
That I really love
even
about it.
as a baby. Because he's, he's got a man
he's
mind.
Mentally training.
So he's like, okay. I could, at first, then I crawled. I was able to, crawl, 4 times across the floor. And then I was able to crawl, 6 times across the floor.
Something that I really love about it is that unlike a lot of isekai, it actually starts at the beginning.
Yeah!
So many isekai, it's just isekai
means reincarnation.
Reincarnation, roughly.
Sorry.
It's a Japanese word. So, most of them, it's just normal 20-year-old to 30-year-old guy dies, gets reborn as a normal 20-year-old to 30-year-old guy. Yeah, or teenager who has really great powers.
Yeah.
Which is...
Usually they just wake up in a princely outfit.
Or an adventurer, and then they got
Oh, yeah. There's the royal brand of isekai, and then there's the adventurer, gotta make your own way in this world.
But they're usually reborn as, fully grown, which is weird,
Yeah, it's did they take over someone's body?
One time I read that they just genuinely took over someone else's body.
Sad. I feel like I would feel intense guilt.
I know, it's you're living someone else's life. But anyway, this story is great. It starts at the beginning.
You literally see, he's and then I was going through this tunnel. Is this the tunnel everyone talks about when they're dying? But no, it's the birth canal.
Yeah.
So Yeah, very beginning. Very, very beginning.
Yeah. I'm shocked that he had his eyes open when he was being born.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the story, as far as we've gotten, I don't want to spoil stuff.
Yeah, we don't
it's
wanna
really
spoil
great. But
If we do spoil stuff, you still have 9 more books to go. And I don't think the series is over yet. So.
Yeah. Or I think there's 12 volumes.
12. Okay, there's a lot of volumes. And they're not short. They're like 15 to 20 hours.
Yeah. Like a standard fantasy world that has magic and stuff and different
mages,
genres of magic.
Fighters,
and
royalty.
Yeah. And there's like adventurers
and also,
and there's monster forests and there's royalty and
there are,
da-da-da-da.
I don't know, do they call them dungeons?
Yes, they do.
They do call them dungeons, so they actually do go to dungeons and fight monsters.
Do they fight dragons? Not really.
Something more sinister than a dragon.
More sinister than a dragon. This isn't D&D. This is
real life.
So yeah, the story for just really overall, like where we are, we're like a full book in.
Yeah.
He's only like 12.
Yeah.
It's so great. Like
I love how in-depth it is about, like, they didn't just skip over him being 8. Like,
or him being born. It's like,
or
oh,
him
he was
being
a
born.
little toddler. Yeah, that
toddler.
happened.
He was a toddler?
He was a toddler, and then but no, it's like, oh, when I was a baby, which is
and
really
then,
cool.
like, as he was 5, he... Yeah.
It just very, very neatly.
One sec, my nose is super itchy. I'll be right back.
Cool. And I really like how they do power structures, because obviously he's, like, way overpowered, but it is in a way that kind of makes sense. Because how power works in that world is kind of like you need to meditate and focus your power inside of you for it to, like, bloom, I guess. I'm not doing, like, an excellent. I'm sure, like, if there are some people who absolutely love this story out there, they're like, you're so wrong. But so when he was a baby and had the full mental capacity of an adult, he could meditate and, like, focus his energy even when he was tiny.
Well, I think it's split up into, like, mana powers and... Hold on, the light is not. Mana powers and...
it's not plugged in. It's dim in here. We're filming a little later than usual. It's gonna be so loud.
It's okay, you're gonna edit this out.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, I'm editing today, unlike most days. Yeah, I don't have a ton to say about the beginning of the end.
Well, I think
we're not all that far.
Some of the best things are... Let's do best and worst things about the book.
Oh, I really like the characters.
Yeah, like...
They're all very alive and in-depth. And
I would say it sometimes falls into...
Okay, sometimes
with some of the girls.
I mean, even some of the guys.
Oh, yeah, even some of the guys, too. Like, what's it?
That elf guy?
Yeah.
But he's almost great. He's like the Tyrannerius of this story. Oh my gosh, we could talk so much about Riskin.
Okay. I would say, as far as isekai guys go, he's really nice. And
really
he's
nice.
Really just an upstanding guy.
Yeah, like
who just completely slays.
Glorious. Yeah. Out of like how they can be isekai, man did a great job.
Yeah.
Like, even there's this girl, like, the same age as him, I think older than him, who likes him, and he, you know, kind of likes her, but he's like, that's weird, because...
He's like, I don't feel physically attracted to you.
He's like...
Even though I'm a 30-year-old man.
Yeah, it's like, I'm a 30-year-old man,
in my
you're
mind.
a 12-year-old?
And you're 12.
I mean, I
don't share the same feelings.
Yeah.
Which
is really
great. And obviously we can see this in the future down the line when they get older. Yeah. They're obviously going to be matured.
But it's really cool that he's just like, I know that I'm in a 12-year-old's body, but...
And the other thing I feel like the author does really well is building the power. Like, at first it's like...
Yeah.
First it's like I can crawl across the floor, then it's I can walk, then it's I can meditate for an hour and like focus my mana and like work on my, what is it, heart center or something?
Mana core.
I think it's mana core, you're right. And
it's been a little bit since we read it.
Yeah, it's
been like 6
months. And I also really like, but then, you know, as he gets older, it's like
these insane
wow,
powers.
you are like normally you'd be like, wow, this is just a really overpowered anime character, kind of normal.
But when you see his full progression through it,
you believe it a lot more.
Yeah, like if he had just like reincarnated into this overpowered 12-year-old, like that would have been much less fun and impactful. Yeah, it just does a great job of like breaking up the story into different parts and really bringing you along that journey.
Yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 10, I would rate it a solid first book.
Comparing it to other isekais or comparing it to general?
I think comparing it to general books, like general fantasy books that I enjoyed, I would rate it like...
No, our rule is we can't say 7.
Because I
was about to say 7.
We
can do 6.5 or 7.5.
I would say 7.5.
7.5. I would say...
But to be fair, I haven't continued. So maybe it wasn't
I would say 6.5.
Enough of a motivation.
It is really good, but like it's not...
It's good, but it's also like...
So here's the thing. It's not written like beautifully.
All
my favorite books are... It is a translation, which does impact...
Elegance.
But it's also just not really written, I believe, to be a piece of, like... The writing isn't meant to be...
It's not relying on the style of the book. It's relying on the plot of the book.
And I feel like a lot of very action-heavy fantasy series do this. It's like pretty standard descriptions. Sometimes they use said more than they should. I remember feeling that way. Or, you know, if you're Tolkien, it's keen eyes or keen or oh my gosh,
use that a lot. Yeah, so it's like a good story.
It's a good story.
Like, oh wow, I loved that. Yeah, I think I would actually go 6.5.
Yeah.
So solid 6.5.
Solid 6.5.
Do you want to do another?
Well,
You had a thought?
Yeah. There is. I feel like comfortable explaining this. There is a school arc, and they're not rushing through that either.
Oh yeah.
And crazy things happen at school, and you kind of believe it. You're like, okay, yeah, here we go. Yeah, this makes sense. There are, despite how fantastical it is, there are a few times when I'm like,
in the world,
this doesn't make sense.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, okay, this is a crazy fantasy world, but it makes sense in the world of this crazy fantasy world. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, it's like, if that's your thing and you really like that, I would highly suggest it.
Or if you're interested in reading an isekai because you haven't read one,
also
this would probably be one of the best ones.
That we've
There's
read.
No harem in it, which is awesome.
Well, as far as we know. Again, we are
only the first book in, but I don't think...
He doesn't seem like that kind of guy.
No. Yeah, and it's funny. It's a pretty funny book.
It's very funny.
There are some funny moments. Like I think we laughed out loud multiple times.
Yeah, where the writing is best is with the humor.
Yeah,
it's solidly well written. Also, we listened to the audiobook, and the reader is great.
Yeah,
so
very enjoyable.
If you enjoy listening,
I mean, I think there were a few times with the girls I was like, could we
but I think that's just kind of like
that is a common problem, even when females read it.
Yeah. So if you're just looking for a good fantasy audiobook or
very long
book, it's a great one.
Yeah.
You know, that's not personally like our classic, it's our brother's classic. He was like the reason why we listened to it.
Yeah.
So.
But it was fun to read it as
it was
the three of us together.
Yeah,
like, that was a fun bonding moment. Right. So now we're gonna do 2 books.
We're gonna do 2 books.
You can pick.
We could do more.
We could do even more. And Ella and I are still, like, reading books, so...
Yeah, this is going to get more full.
And we'll just be able to talk about more recent stuff.
Bro! Yes, I got bro.
Ella, what? Before we started
filming,
Ella was like, ooh, bro, we should do this one. But I don't want to pick it because that would be cheating.
Yeah, that would be cheating. Okay, wait, we did this one.
Bro!
Sweet. I genuinely randomly picked it. I saw the one that says, like, war on it, and I was like, oh, I could just, like... I was like, no, that would be cheating.
Let's see what bro holds for us.
Here, can you?
Yeah, I got it. All right, bro. 613.6. Book Thief! It's a good thing my mouth wasn't super close to the mic because you would have hurt
Book
your ears.
Thief.
It's Book Thief, which is absolutely 10 out of 10. It's probably one of my favorite books ever. I just realized that my dad's on a work call upstairs. I'm being really loud, but
10 out of 10.
It's one of the best pieces of literature.
Can we
ever.
give something? I think we can give this an 11 out of 10.
11 out of 10.
11 out of 10.
It's that good.
It's my okay. I never cry with books. Like, I don't think I've ever cried at a book other than Book Thief.
Yeah.
I was crying on the floor.
Yeah.
Just,
and it's not just like,
it's
you
not
know,
just
sometimes
sad.
with World War II books, you're like,
Oh, it's a World
is
War
it going to
II
be
book.
depressing? So Book Thief is a World War II book from the perspective of a
little
German girl
German girl.
living in Germany.
Mhm.
And she's part of the Hitler Youth. And
Her friend is
also part of Hitler Youth.
Mhm.
So it's
But
Germany.
the story starts before the war really picks up. So it's her journey through
the war.
through the entire war.
Is it really the
It's
entire
the entire
war?
war. It is the narrator is death. It is
Which
written
is so beautiful.
death.
It's like so just neatly experimental and
Yeah, okay, if you
philosophical and beautiful
I will
and
do this
terrible and
if you do not like weird writing style, if you don't like when it's
If-
confusing or complicated,
it definitely requires a higher level of attention
focus.
than, you know, Instant Karma or something by
Or-
Marissa Meyer
or Beginning After the End.
I felt like with Beginning After the End, actually
Okay, that needed focus.
it needed focus because I was like,
structure.
oh my gosh, I lost it. I was not paying attention for 2 seconds, and now somebody is like ascending to the next power level, or some monster came in, and I just remember like not paying super close attention and then
Book
just being
Thief
completely lost.
Is in
Book
the
Thief,
way of
Mirror Visitor, maybe.
yeah, it's like more complicated than Mirror Visitor. It's beautifully written and
Yeah,
it's all.
I would say the plot is simpler, but the narrator voice is more complicated.
Yeah, it just has, but because of that, it takes this very very complicated, but very like condensed. It almost feels like a nutshell. Like this girl is this nutshell in Germany.
Yeah.
And she's dealing with, you know, all these things and all like, it's just so new for her and it's so complicated for her. And oh my gosh, so much happens. I don't want to spoil anything because it's so good. It's like every single line.
I wish I had the book. I gave the book to my grandfather because I thought he would really like it. He loves history and is constantly reading. But now I'm like, I wish I had the book. I need to buy a new one. I bought it for $5 from a thrift store near us, and I had already read it when I was younger, and the first time I read it, I was floored.
Yeah, it's so good. It shaped our writing style.
It's
Speaking
how
of
do you
that,
even? Whoa!
it is on our books that shaped us.
Oh yeah, books that shaped us as writers video, which is one of our. So it was our second or third video.
Yeah, it's very
which you can go find also in our book tea playlist. So
what it
go
is?
and watch
Really?
it. Yeah.
Oh,
I made a playlist and put all of our writing book talk
stuff.
videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love how we say in synchronicity.
Unison.
So
So let's talk about
characters.
Oh my god.
Characters are so well drawn. They're so well drawn. And
It's okay, so you know what's funny? When I was looking around for a book, probably I was 12 because I read everything when I was 12. No, I might have been 13.
Ooh, so old.
Maybe. It was after I'd already read Garfield. and I've thought about this stuff that I was probably too young to read. It seems like I always look for a book and find exactly what I said I didn't want. For Caraval, I was like, I want a book with no romance. Don't know how I ended up reading Caraval. Then for Book Thief, I was like, I want a book that won't make me cry. but I did want it to be historical, and I wanted it to be beautiful and fun. And Book Thief is also those things.
It's all of those things.
It's not depressing. It's not clawing at you to compare it. It's not Kafka. Kafka is just drains the life from you. I do kind of love
Kafka.
I don't love Kafka. It's like Kafka's just like, you know this thing? I could make it worse. Or I could make this normal thing just terrible.
But this is kind of like, hey, you know World War II? You know how awful it was? What if I put you in the shoes of a little German girl? You will be so...
And she's living, like, normal aspects of life. Like, she has a friend.
And she goes to school.
And she's learning to read. And
she buys clothes. And she, like, draws. Like,
she has to make money.
All of these things are very just normal kid things that she's doing.
Yeah.
And, like, her town is relatively normal, especially at the beginning. It's just a normal town.
Just a German town. Same old.
And, you know, everyone has normal jobs, but it's so elegantly written and 11 out of 10.
The care with which Death, the narrator, like, almost lovingly describes things, knowing that they are terrible, but allowing you to see the beauty in them. Okay, another thing that Death uses throughout the book is definitions.
I love definitions so much. Wait, what's the first one? It's about
I don't remember. Oh, it's probably home.
I think it's home.
So the book kind of opens, and I don't love the beginning of the book, so if you started reading Book Thief and you didn't love it, please try it again. You have to get past that beginning part. It's beautiful looking back at it, but at first you're going to be like, is this how the rest of the book is going to go? No, it's not.
It's so good.
Yeah, give it a chance. And it is... where was I going with this? Definitions. No, it's the way Death sees words and sees reality.
Yeah, because sometimes Death gives a definition for a word, and you're
it's not like
whoa.
That's not the real definition of the word,
you're
but
like,
it
whoa,
is
that?
Oh my gosh.
And then you think about it, and you're like, holy, dang it,
that's so true. One I remember off the top of my head is not leaving, and it's the thing that parents rarely do, but children find to be like the most important and makes you trust them. I'm saying that awfully, but if I had the book, I would find it because I know exactly where it is in the book, but I don't. And that idea, because we never say, never think of not leaving, but the scene is where, like, this person who is becoming Liesel's father.
Liesel's the main character.
Liesel's the main girl. Her adopted dad, basically, is taking care of her
and not leaving.
And oh my gosh,
and it's something
I'm, like, actually starting to cry.
Yeah,
the like beauty of him not leaving, even when he could,
is its own story.
Is its own definition. It becomes something new because it's
real.
It's that real.
It's that real.
And
like everything is so painfully real.
Yes, that's the other thing. He, like, Death takes seemingly, the narrator, I feel like sometimes often actually takes these things and to describe something very basic, but takes one or two things that you're like, how could those things ever relate? And it just makes you see the thing in a so vividly because
clear.
It shouldn't make sense, but it does.
It's almost sharp.
Everything is like you're watching it as if you're there. If you're right beside them, it's not even like 4K on a TV screen. It's or whatever the highest is now. I don't know. It's just and not even mentioning the realism with which he describes the life of a child, or like how a child thinks and how a child falls in love, or I don't want to get too into it because we're not going to spoil it.
And pain and love and all the different types
the romance
of love
between two kids.
Yeah,
is so delicate, is so real, is so honest and raw and artful and believable and heartwarming and tragic. It is
a story. Like you feel like you're reading a story, like a biography written by Death.
And
like Death met this girl and watched all of this.
And he decides to write her story at the end.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of times when I'm reading, I'm like, you left a lot on the table there. Like, there's a lot in this scene or in this book or with this character that you just didn't even touch because A, you couldn't, and you didn't have the skill, or B, you just didn't think of it, or C,
you didn't have time, or you didn't make time. You didn't
make time for it. And unfortunately, I think that's really common because of the like rushed, fast-paced production of most books. But Book Thief is the highest evolution of what it set out to be.
Yeah.
It is the best it was trying to be.
Yeah. Yeah, like so often you read a book and you're like, that could have been better. The editors could have helped that.
Yeah.
The writer could have, but when you read Book Thief, you're like, like it is what it's trying to be.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, if you don't like the like artistic kind of moody, like,
then you could read some other Markus Zusak books. They are not. I've tried reading another Markus Zusak book like 3 times. I don't love it.
Book Thief.
It's not the same as Book Thief. Book Thief is. I haven't read all of his stuff. I hope to. I will power through and make it continue with the other books. I'm also just, a sucker for historical fiction, and World War II is just such an amazing backdrop.
Yeah.
And when you're viewing it through the eyes of a German child, it takes this new thing that you just don't often see again. Or maybe not often, but isn't as explored as a lot of American film and TV, because we all, we tell the stories that we lived.
A good example for, like, how personal and raw and, like, physically you're there, it feels like Schindler's List.
I haven't watched Schindler's List.
Aubin hasn't watched it.
They watched it while I was in Paris.
If you have watched Schindler's List, imagine that, but instead of, main guy, it's a little girl. And instead of it being as violent or where it's set it's set. It's so amazing because you feel like you're in this small pocket of Germany.
Yeah, it's not super touched by the war directly. I'm shaking the table. I'll try not to.
Yeah. And the whole story happens within this little pocket, pretty much.
Yeah, and like every time you think
you know what's going to
happen, you really don't. Like, I remember the first time reading it, I was just, like, blown away. But second time reading it, I remembered everything that happened, except for, of course, one really important thing. And I would listen to my family's theories, because we always talk about the books we're reading and blah-de-da-da.
Yeah, we read that book out loud.
And most of the time, we got the plot twists and the plot points wrong, which is actually really fun.
It is.
Because we're pretty good at guessing. We're all writers in this house.
Yeah, which makes it really annoying to read books, because it's like, okay,
I love being right. I also love being wrong.
I know. I think I love being wrong more.
It depends on what I'm wrong and right about.
It depends, like, well, I'm wrong because that was such a stupid decision. Why would you do that?
Like, this one time, Ella and I were reading Mirror Visitor together, and she got ahead of me. She was ahead of me this whole time.
Yeah, I was.
And I was telling her this theory that I had as I was getting close to the climax of the end of book 1.
Probably.
And I was like, oh, yeah, this is going to happen, da-da-da-da-da. And Ella was like, wow, that's fantastic, but not even close. Like, it's like, really good.
Yeah, so often Aubin will, like, tell me great theories for something we're either reading or watching, and I'm like, very interesting. Not even close.
No, that is far wrong.
Lovely and better than what is going to happen, but
Mirror Visitor is great.
Not Mirror Visitor. Mirror Visitor.
I mean, I did love my Mirror Visitor theory. I can't remember it, but I remember thinking that it was really good. But with Book Thief, I don't even think you have time to, like, fully get attached to what you think is going to happen next, because its pacing is also fantastic.
Also,
like, it is such a painful book, but it never lets you stay too long in. Like, I feel like a lot of books I started reading Unbroken, and sometimes I felt broken by, like, the length of the torturous times in his life, and that makes sense. Like, his life was honestly torture for that long. I mean, he was in a Japanese prison camp where I believe he was being experimented on by their, like,
I haven't read it.
Medical industry. It was like using prisoners as human experiments. So yes, it was horrible, but to live in that space for too long is real. I get really affected by the books and movies and music that I listen to.
It makes you yourself.
Yeah.
And something that I love about Book Thief so much is that it's not sad.
Oh no, it is sad.
It's like, it feels like, seeing a dandelion in a sidewalk. It's like, everything's harsh and painful and sharp around it, but it's still there. And so that's what all the joy feels like. It's not less of a thing because of where it's placed. It's almost more. It's like more distinct. Because if you see like a dandelion in a field of dandelions, you're like, that's going to be a lot of seeds and now everything's going to be dandelions. But when you see a dandelion in the sidewalk, you're like, dang, that dandelion survived that. And that's kind of the power and impact of the humor and the joy and the everything in it.
Yeah. It's also a hilarious book.
And it makes the sadness even more sad.
Oh, yeah, because you love these characters so much. They are like your family. They are like your friends. You laugh with them, you cry with them, you live with them, you grow up with them, you watch them learn to read, you watch them.
I think that's another reason why theories are harder, because it's like making a theory about your friend's life. It's
or
like,
your own life. It's like, I guess
I'm gonna guess that blood is gonna happen. No, like, you don't do that. It just feels weird to make a theory about someone you live with.
Yeah.
Anyway, so good. If you've read it, please comment and share how much you've loved it. If you've read Beginning After the End, also share. You might have noticed that we don't love it as much, but
yeah, I mean, they're not the same.
Please. Yeah.
We could go on for about Book Thief.
So long. What time is it?
How long have we been talking?
We've been talking a while.
30 minutes! It's already been 30 minutes?
I'm sorry, guys.
Wow. Okay, hold on. What else do I have to say about Book Thief? I have so much more to say. What are the most important things? Oh, colors. Colors are used fantastically in Book Thief.
It's like, if you like how colors are used in Book 1 of Carval, you're going
to
absolutely love this.
Don't forget about it. Carval Book 1 is great.
Yeah, but you're going to absolutely love this.
Yeah.
If that's like your vibe, and if you like the confusing, like, yes. It's just, you feel submerged in it.
It's a fantastical, very artistic,
raw
way of writing something that feels undeniably real. And
yeah. Oh my gosh. It's so good. Well,
you cry so hard at the end.
So hard.
Thief. And it's not like depressed cry. It's like, oh my gosh, I just lived one of the most amazing lives.
Well, also one of the most tragic lives.
And I am so
grateful.
Sad. I am so grateful. I am so sad. I am so
hurt and satisfied.
Yes.
And in pain and released all at
once. And
you're like, oh my god. How did you do that? It's so good. So please.
And sometimes you're so worried that X person is going to die, and sometimes you're right and sometimes you're wrong. And
yeah.
We're not going to spoil that for you because you need to go on the journey for yourself.
If you take like one book other than our books to read from what we suggest, please read Book Thief.
Book Thief.
So good.
I can't think of many other books that emotionally impacted. I think Mom's book would be the only other one that like shaped me as much as Book Thief.
Yeah. And it's like 2,000 words.
Yeah, Mom wrote not that many words, but like that's a story for another time.
Speaking
of another time,
we will see you next time.
Yeah, next time.
Which will be Wednesday of next week.
For Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, WTF.
Our posting schedule.
Yeah. So we have Instagrams, we have this YouTube, we have hopefully a Discord soon. And
we were supposed to work on that.
That could be
my job.
Your job.
I'll get the Discord up.
I mean, you're editing the video today, so maybe I could do Discord. But anyway, yeah, thanks for sitting and talking about books with us.
Yeah.
It's been great. So
we'll have another book tea on Friday if this is just what you want to watch. If you want to learn how we write, how we edit, check out the other videos on our channel.
Everything basically has a playlist, so
you
can find everything super easily.
So. And all the covers and titles are very specific. So
Ella does a great job with the thumbnails. So, bye guys.
Thank you so much.